G'day, I'm Drew, and this is Michaela, and this is our 1987 Toyota Hilux. She might be a bit of an old girl, but after a 5-year build, she's almost ready to take us on the ultimate trip around Australia. So subscribe and join us as we attempt to live the dream.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode. This one's going to be a sick one. So we get the doors fitted, canopy painted, which means at the end of this episode you'll see the canopy fitted to the tray of the Luxie. So I'm going to roll on those clips now. Thanks for watching, guys. Alright, so a bit of an update. All the door jamb is done, all welded out, and all the hinges are on. I had to notch out the inside of the canopy there so I could get to the back of the hinges to put the bolts on. So that side's all done. Just working on the other side now. Tomorrow morning I'm loading the canopy onto a ute and heading down to Jared at Elite Engineering, and he's going to fold up the doors for us. So yeah, that's tomorrow, and I'll hopefully tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow, we'll have doors on and this thing will be fully enclosed. So just got the doors back. Stoked with how it looks. Pretty cool. From the sides you won't even know that this isn't a full alloy canopy. It's going to look sweet once it's all painted up. Jared from Elite Engineering folded the doors up for me. Does an excellent job at anything you asked for anytime. He also did all the door jambs for me, which had to be pretty precise on the measurements. They were all bang on exactly what I gave him, so can't thank him enough. Thanks dude, legend. So all the door jamb channeling is all finished off now. Just threw some etch on there yesterday, Arvo, because now I'm going to prep all the actual canopy. I'm going to sand the front and rear walls, and I'm going to glue the door jambs on, and then I'll raptor the whole canopy. Not going to bother raptoring the roof, just because it's just a waste of material of product really, because you don't see it. So I'll just come in that sort of far, like 150 mil or something. But the front and rear walls will get done, because you can obviously see the front one through the rear windscreen, and you'll see the back one like through the spares and that sort of stuff. But yeah, hopefully by the end of today we'll get it all raptored. Doors are done. Hung them yesterday. Just didn't have the GoPro idea, so I couldn't film it, but they're all hung, so I just got to cut the handles for them, and then we can paint them out and make an internal frame for them. Righto, so now that I've gone and whizzed all the canopy down everywhere that I'm going to raptor, so that's what I mean by just going to mask off that section there. No need to paint it. But so that's all ready to go now. Now next stage is get all these scotch brighted, just so the raptor will stick to the etch primer there, and then I can go and glue them frames onto the actual canopy itself, so we'll just be gluing through here. And then shoving them on, and I'll put a few tech screws in there just to hold them in place for now, and then once it sets I'll pull the tech screws out, and I'll just wipe a little bit of filler in those holes just so they're all covered, and then seal all the edges, and then it's ready for raptor. it pretty much. Put a couple of screws in it. It all fits quite snug over the panelling, so hopefully that'll do. Phew! Pretty happy with that. It's all sealed up now, all the cracks and that. Bit messy around here, but I can just go around and blade it off. All these holes I'll just go through with a bit of bog, swipe a bit in there and quickly sand it off. And yeah, all around here is all sealed, so it's all going to be nice and dry in there. So pretty happy. I'm going to go home for a bit, have some lunch. It's just too windy and too hot to even wrap to this right now. It'll just be going off in the gun. So yeah, but it's pretty well ready to go. I'll just mask up that roof section, just back mask off the doors here and the door openings, and then just hit it. So yeah, should be good. So hopefully the wind drops off and we can yeah, get it all painted up this afternoon. So that'll be real good. So my GoPro just had a meltdown while I was trying to film the canopy getting painted there. I think it's too hot, it was like overheating or some shit. But anyway, it's all done. Good enough for a canopy for the Hilux anyway. Should be pretty good. It's a bit stripy there, as you can see. The fan of my gun was being a bit shit, but luckily you don't see it. But I was really just trying to make sure I got these areas nice and all the coverage in all the edges of the door jamb, which I'm pretty happy about. Looks pretty good. These are the hinges we're using on the canopy. It's from Dun & Watson. I think they're like $8 something each or something like that. Pretty cheap. They're cast and the threads are cast into them, which is pretty good too, so you don't have heads of bolts sticking out on the other side. Bit of a cleaner look. The only thing was they're quite small. The distance between the two threads there is a little bit small, so you have to have them quite tight in on the edge of your canopy doors. So a bit of a downside to them. They do have bigger ones, but the bigger ones were just considerably amount bigger. I think they were like something like 100 mil or something like that. Could be wrong. There's probably a lot of other places you can get them from, but ended up being in a bit of a hurry, so this is what I got. But it worked out pretty fine for this application. Tape is your friend when you don't have any. I'm just going to bolt it up from the inside. Alright. So I'm going to show you guys how I set up the compression locks for the canopy door here. So essentially you want this locking pin here to have as much surface area as you possibly can on there. So how I like to set that up is pretty much I get a spacer, so this is some 2mm alley, set that against the floor there, set the end of that pin on there, and then I'll get a measurement from the inside of the actual cutout where the lock will be. Get a measurement from there to the edge of the door jamb, and then when I close the door I can measure from that edge there up to the door, and that'll set the height for where the lock's going to be and give us a clearing on the floor, so when we turn it, it doesn't hit the floor. So that's essentially what I'm going to do. So worked out that it's going to be 60mm from this bottom edge here to where the cutout is going to start. On the door, I want the outside edge of the compression lock, so this edge here, I want that to be 250mm from the end. And then the overall width of this lock, I think it's about 140. And so that's the width of our lock. You can also, I like to do everything off of a middle line. Like that. And then our measurement was 60mm from the edge of the door jamb there. So that's where the bottom of the cutout's going to be. Then we just measure out the shape on the back here and draw that onto there. So the width of the cutout is 90, so then that's why I do that middle line, so you just start from there. So obviously 45mm. Measure out the height of the hole we need. Also 90mm. If you don't have one of these, get yourself some. I've got a small set and a big set. Super handy for drawing radiuses on things. I use them all the time when I'm using the bead roller, just so I can draw out really nice radiuses and keep them all the same. But pretty handy for this, because we're also cutting out that lock piece there, which is a circle, just so you can visually see it all before. You could just draw the line of where you're going to hole saw it, but it's just, I find it quite nice just to visualise everything before you cut it. So that's, call that 20mm. And you can get the centre of holes really easy because they have little marking, probably pretty hard to see, but there are little markings all the way around. So then that's where I wanted the top of that hole. Circle it up, use those lines. Now we know that's the centre of the hole. And then we just need to do the side ones. That's the hole we're going to cut out. Just go and drill holes in all those corners, hole saw the centre one out, and then I'll air hacksaw the rest of it out. Easy job. Do that up down the other end, and we'll have our handles in. Holes all cut. Let's see how we go. Alright, so I'm just going to weld this up here. I've just put a bit of pressure on it using this pole here. Just I needed to open it up a little bit. You can see off there's a bit of a gap. That was actually the angle of it when the door was closed before. So putting that bit of pressure on there has opened it up just a little bit to hopefully just get it to match that angle there a little bit better. So we'll see how we go. Getting hot, muggy, more sweaty, and I need a fucking beer. that's going to be it for that, I think. Welded that corner up, and it's not perfect, but I think it'll do. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Now I just got to go weld out that other corner, do the same down there, and then we can start making the internal frame and setting up these gas struts. Making progress. So I've just knocked up these little brackets for the base of the gas strut. So I'm just gonna mount them somewhere like that, wherever I decide is a good spot for them once I get this frame knocked up and in here. But something like that. Clear the seal nicely. So make up 4 of those and there for every corner. So now that I've made the mounts up for the ends of the gas struts on the canopy, it's time to make the internal frame. So I've drawn up some lines on here, which is pretty much where the outside of the box section will sit, and I've made sure this distance will clear the door jamb and the gas strut when it's closing. So now it's time to chop all this up, and then we'll weld up a frame for it. So we'll get into that now. That's the frame. Hopefully that's going to work a treat. That's all our adjusting holes for the gas struts. I'm going to weld the frame together, but I'm actually going to bolt the frame itself to the skin, so there'll be a bolt in every corner, and then it'll be glued through the centers and probably through here as well. But the reason I'm not welding it is just so you don't get weld marks on the skin. The guy actually folded up the door skins for me, Jared at Elite. This is the way he does them. He makes frames and bolts them so you don't get marks all through your doors, and depending on what route we go down with the doors, if we do want to paint them body colour, you know, want them to look pretty reasonable. So that's what we're doing that, but I'll go through, weld this frame up now, and then I'll probably bolt it to the door and do a trial fit with it and set the gas struts up. Morning. Just come back out here now. I was trying to get these gas struts sorted this morning so I can move on to making the frame for the other door. Still haven't finished welding this one out fully, but we're 90% of the way there, I suppose. Just got to get these brackets sorted in the right location for the gas strut to work correctly. But I've got those options up there with those extra holes, just to adjust the door a little bit if need be, because I've kind of just winged it where they are. So once I get these bottom ones attached, work it out and see how that goes, and then adjust from there, I suppose. We've just finished putting those brackets on, and I'm bloody pretty stoked with how it's working. So it's got a bit of, you still have to put a bit of pressure on there to get it to go down. It's obviously not falling, so it wants to come up, so that's pretty good. I did just go into the next hole there, but it was just maybe a little too much power pulling it back up. But maybe once locks are in there, we put some internal lighting, whatever, it might need to go to the next hole just to be a bit better for the weight. But overall I'm bloody happy with that. And putting that internal frame in, as you can see, just pulling on one corner, the door hardly flexes before it closes. So that's also really good.
So there we go, guys. The canopy's finished, painted and fitted to the back of the Hilux. From having an idea of building a custom lightweight canopy to it all coming together, it's definitely had its challenges. But that's to be expected when you're building anything custom. We're so stoked with the overall finish of this canopy and can't wait to have it finished for full-time livings. Big thanks to our friends that come out and helped us lift the canopy on. I think you can really see from the video how light and easy it is to fit up. If you're liking these videos, guys, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Stay tuned to the next episode where we start the internal fit out of this canopy.